Have you ever questioned your own reality or felt pressure to believe a certain way, even though your soul says that's just not true? Well, if you've experienced this, it may be called gaslighting or indoctrination. There's so many different ways that we can get controlled, our mind can get controlled. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about today. And so gaslighting and indoctrination can control your life, leaving you confused and trapped in a world and a reality that just isn't so. But we're so grateful. I've been waiting for this moment for a while that we get to have this conversation with Carol Howe. She is world renowned when it comes to many things, but in particular, A Course in Miracles. And she is just one that every time she is in the classroom, I just feel so empowered and feel like I've got a bunch of stuff ready to help me blossom, lots of tools. So today we're gonna talk about recognizing, breaking free from, healing from these toxic patterns that change our life, but we're gonna reclaim it so that we can restore our power. So today I want you to take paper, pencils, because we're gonna take lots of notes.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lily McDermott, and I am a certified life coach. I am a certified holistic cancer coach, and I am the host of the Lillian McDermott Radio Show Classroom. If this is the first time that you've entered the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life so you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace inner truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, if you're tuning into today's class, I believe all the classes that we do is divine. And there's something here that you must learn so that you can either change or maybe be aware of how you are bringing yourself into the world. But we're going to be talking about gaslighting and indoctrination, how we see the world that may not be true, and how we want others to feel about this, and maybe break free from this control. And who else but Carol Howe to have this conversation with us? And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Carol Howe is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom, Carol.
Thank you. It's been a while.
I know it's been a while. And for those of you who have never heard of Carol Howe, where have you been? But I'm also going to say to you, we've had lots of other classes that we've done together. In every single class that we do, there's so much love that just exudes from Carol that is palpable. And so even if it's just to feel that love, watch some of the other classes. I do those watch parties from time to time, and when you see Carol Howe's name, just know that you're going to be saturated with love. So today is not going to be a different situation. So Carol, I wanted to talk to you about this gaslighting and indoctrination and how the world is just divided by looking at each other's differences instead of what we have in common. And so let's talk about what gaslighting is and how can it happen? How is it happening in this world today?
Well, obviously, it can just sort of fall under the category of propaganda.
Mm.
But I think we have to step back a bit and recognize we're never done to by someone else. In other words, the players in our drama, whether they're the wonderful ones or the awful ones, we have a hand in their being in our lives.
Mhm.
And here is how. Because what nobody teaches us appropriately when we are young and in our growing up years is that the thoughts that travel through my awareness, so to speak, the ones that I latch onto and pay attention to, the thoughts in your mind are replicated in the circumstances of your what we will call your outside world, the three-dimensional world. So we're all taught, oh my gosh, stuff just happens to us, and it's your heredity or where you live or your race or your financial status or who knows what all else, and that somehow we make those the causes of things. It's like, nope, they are the effects of things. And the thing of which they are the effect is, where is the focus of my attention? If the focus of my attention is on judgment or hatred or a sense of separation or looking for what's wrong and all those kinds of things, you're not going to like the world you're in. In other words, it's like in every respect, it will seem to be constraining or difficult or whatever. But once you realize, what you mean, the focus of my attention has that much power? Well, yes. And do we ever get taught that? No, not for the most part. So you might say we're operating out of a place of misinformation, not evilness, not badness, just lack of how life actually works. Now, the great thing about this is you don't have to take my word for this at all. You can try this and find out for yourself. And so, kind of a little formula, if you want to think of it,
Mhm.
and some necessary information is, we also have not necessarily been specifically taught, but the presumption is that is never altered or never countered, is that whatever our past is kind of follows along behind us,
Yeah.
like a growing pile of transgressions or good things or whatever. But it's like our past is like a trail behind us. No, no trail of past anywhere. Once a word or a deed is spoken, it's gone. It's not stored anywhere. So what we have to realize is every single moment is a brand new clean slate. However I decide to focus my attention now will create my experience now. It doesn't create it 5 years from now. It's like, so there is a very specific and intimate connection between the nature of my thinking and the way the outer events of my world show up. And so here's what we can do. It's like, okay, I don't have to fix a past because it's not here, but I do have to notice what's the nature of my thinking today. And so one of the ways that I spend a lot of time with people doing this is like, okay, if we feel like we're being punished for something, or things aren't going well, or we're impoverished in some way, um, the first thing is not to see that you're to blame for this. This is not a blame thing, but that we are actually at the helm of this ship, so to speak, and wherever it goes. So when people feel like, I can't stand the husband or the father or the president or the whoever it might be. It can be a public figure, it can be your next door neighbor, it can be a family member. I could go, okay, I want you to fill in this blank for me. What I can't stand about person X is they are so what? And so they will come up with every adjective in the dictionary over time that you can imagine. And I'll say, okay, I was talking to somebody yesterday who felt like a partner was being disdainful. I said, well, have you ever once, possibly in your life, had a sense of disdain for somebody else? And he goes, well, yeah. And it's like, well, disdain is a kind of an attack. In other words, there's nothing loving or helpful or appropriate about that. And so what's happening is this person about whom you feel disdain is really not causing your distress. They're mirroring your own distress caused by your own guilt about being disdainful yourself. So the first, before we're going to be able to get everything right in our lives, we have to actually recognize, and you don't do this overnight, this becomes a practice, which is whatever is happening in my life, I have orchestrated, whether that's good, bad, indifferent, terrible, awful, whatever, because otherwise, the idea that some people have power and some don't is preposterous. It would be unfair. It would be unreasonable. Everybody has got the same power. It's a matter of, do you understand that? Do you know how, therefore, to use it to not only your best advantage, but the best advantage of other people and the planet and everybody else? Does that make sense so
Yeah, it
far?
does. It does. It does. And so I want to go a little deeper on this one because, when I, as a coach as well, I don't have the years of experience that you have had and the different scenarios that you've probably experienced. But if somebody says to me, I am with someone who, if they're doing something wrong or illegal, they say, "Oh, no, it's okay," and tries to convince the other person that they're wrong in their belief system. How would is how does that manifest? How does that come to? Is that person needing that correction? Is that person at what point?
That that person is not coming to us for correction. The person is coming to us as a messenger saying, look what you're doing to yourself. Would you like to change your mind? So it's like this person isn't like, oh, I am such a second class citizen. Could please help me out or something like that? It's
Mhm.
like, no. And there are never any accidents in this. In other
Oh
words,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
there's always a mirroring situation. And once people could go, oh, yeah. And it's interesting to watch the expression on the face. It's like, have you ever been selfish? Well, yeah. Okay, yes. And so then here's the next question I will ask them. Okay, I want you to bring up a time, just an incident in your life when you know you were the selfish one, if we're using that as our adjective. And I said, I don't want to know what it is. I don't know anything about it. I don't want you to tell me anything about it. I just wanted to sort of come up like uh, a little slice of life where you realize that was the circumstance. And just tell me when you've thought of that. So they'll go, okay. And it's like, all right, here's the $64 million question. At that moment, with what you were believing, with what you were thinking, with whatever seemed to be the driving force in your life at the moment, did you think you had any other choice but to be, we'll use the word selfish? And 100% of the people say no. In other words, at that moment, that seemed to be what was either the only response or the best response or whatever. And it's like, all right. So from now on, whatever that situation is about the being selfish, recognize it was not a crime, it was a mistake because it was an unloving response. But the important thing is you must be kind to yourself. You must realize that whatever you were doing, it was the highest and best of which you were capable at that moment with the beliefs about yourself that were running the show. And so it allows, you can watch a body, you can watch the shoulders drop. You can kind of watch a sigh of relief at you're not a terrible, guilty, evil party. You simply have been misled yourself about what you're like and what your worth is and what your value is. So, this is an opportunity for you to, shall we say, upgrade your own appreciation of yourself. And the more you do, the more you automatically can be appreciative of other people. it really works like magic.
Yeah, I get it. I think that my question is so much when you're with someone, let's say I'm a parent, I'm raising my children to hate a religion, hate a culture, hate, like certain jobs and that, like create that teaching a child and forming a child's mind. That's indoctrination. I'm teaching that
It is.
child. Now that
Yeah.
child grows to be an adult and
Yes.
they start seeing the world differently, like, okay, why am I angry or hate these people? Why am I, and that breaking free from that, what are some of the things that you suggest? Because sometimes we are in a situation where we fall in love with somebody and they're the person that's been indoctrinated to believe that a lie is true. So how does someone break free from, you know, being a part of that person's life? How do you
Well,
get
see, all of us were raised, was that all of us were raised by nobody had an ideal set of parents.
correct?
In other words, everybody is raised with, you might say, the belief structures uh, and the shortcomings and the assets and everything else of the parents are kind of automatically uh, transferred to us. But
Mhm.
it does not mean that we can't change. I
Sure.
grew up in an awful era for kids. It was the children were to be seen and not heard era. I can't imagine anything worse. And and yet, okay, um, as I got to be an adult, I decided, I mean, I was aware as I became an adult that they were doing the best they could, and they weren't awful. They were just unaware of many things that would have made an early childhood easier. Now, I am fully aware and I fully believe it was not an accident that I ended up with the parents that I ended up. I absolutely believe that we come into the family situations. If you want to, get into reincarnation stuff or whether you do or not, it's like we're in the family that we resonate with at some sort of a frequency level. And I could, as I grew up and began to follow the interests that are important to me, I thought this was really important that I have parents who did the best they could, but they didn't really know what to do. And a father who was never mean to us or anything like that. He had a daughter by a first marriage whom he adored. And my mother told me somewhere along the way, your father never did want any more children. And it
Mhm.
was, sort of apparent that and he was always home and he was polite and so on, but not really interested in us. In other words, and so you grow up in whatever family circumstance you grow up in, and hopefully we let this be a springboard to go, okay, well, whatever some of these things are that I believe and have thought were truths about myself, like maybe I'm an unwanted person or something like that. It's like the
Yes.
world now is going to give me the opportunity to change my mind about
Mhm.
that through the people I encounter and my decision. And this is the key to all of it is for our decision to be, you know what? I'm really here to be truly helpful. And
Yeah.
if my mission is to be truly helpful, then the what's wrong with other people and who did what to whom and why begin to go out the window. Because when you're deciding, I want to be truly helpful, plus added to, and I'm going to follow my intuition, not my intellect about what truly helpful means in any given specific situation.
Mhm.
And I find that all of this allows um, a kind and an accepting and an understanding of kind of where people are coming from that allows your life to be very tranquil, comparatively speaking. In other words, because we're not making enemies. by saying, you're the bad one for doing X. We're letting people be a mirror to us saying, oh, I'm blaming myself for doing X, whatever that might be.
Mhm.
And if this is something I'm blaming myself for, I can now look at this differently. I can go, you know what? It's really true that at that time, that was the highest and best I could do. I didn't have any other modeling. I didn't know what else to do,
Mhm.
so that we can always reduce the crimes to mistakes or simply a lack of information or understanding. So that we take the you're a bad person entirely out of the picture.
Okay, so if somebody's in a relationship where one person is trying to control and manipulate the mind of their partner, because with your parents, we kind of like grow out and we can say and rebel maybe. And maybe we rebel and kind of fall out of that and become a generational pattern shifter. We decide that we're going to think on our own. We're not going to, follow that this race is bad or this gender is bad or whatever, and we can formulate our own mind. But when you're married to someone or you're in a relationship with someone, and they're constantly trying to control your mind or control how you see the world. Or if they're trying to lie and you say this is a lie and they say no, it's true, and convince the other person that what they're doing is correct and what you're thinking and feeling is wrong, how do you help someone step out of that relationship so that they can start seeing life as they need to see it and not feel shame that they don't see it the way the other person is seeing it? I don't know if
Well,
that's a good
the
question.
first thing we have to back up and say is that if I am in a relationship with somebody, as what were you two words that you said with controlling and
Mind
whatever?
control. It's
In
like
other words,
yeah.
if I'm with a controlling person who seems to be not really interested in my welfare, but just being in charge, it's
Yeah.
like I have to recognize it's not an accident that I have brought the controlling person into my life.
Okay.
I brought them into my life because there's some part of me that either fears being a controlling person, that has an issue about being a controlling person. In other words, or blaming myself at some level for being a controlling person. So this person comes in not as they're trying to drive me crazy. They're coming in, and the message is really, you know what? This is not spoken. This is like the cosmic message, if you will. You are blaming yourself and feeling guilty and interfering with your own goodness by fearing that you're the controlling one and that you must be for your own safety. Would you like to change your mind? In other words, this is being a mirror and not a cause. So if this person, let's say, oh, this is terrible, I'm going to divorce this man or woman, then you will jump out of the frying pan into the fire. If you don't change your mind, you will find spouse or partner number two that in the beginning seems like, oh, finally, this isn't happening. And then you go, well, they turned out to be controlling too. They may or may not be, but we're looking at their behavior through a lens, so to speak, that's that's looking for the match between what I'm holding against myself. Now, nothing about this is done consciously or on purpose, but that's just the way it works. You can get rid of five husbands and have five more, and you'll surely this one isn't going to be a controlling one. Oh, yes, he will be until you change your mind. So our beliefs about ourselves and the train of our thoughts is what's really driving the bus. And the other people are players in our drama. So once we recognize we're writing the script, write a new script.
So how do you
And,
write the
and
new script? So what I'm hearing you say is that if I am with someone that is a gaslighter, for example,
yeah,
they're saying I'm catching them, maybe they're cheating on me, and they say, "Oh, I wasn't cheating on you. This was just a friend that I saw." And it's like
yeah.
this person, their value system is to be right all the time
Mhm.
and to control and manipulate the belief system of the other person. So now what I'm hearing you say is that somewhere in my life that I selected this person because there's some lessons that I need to learn. And once I learn those lessons, I can walk away from this person without picking a person exactly the same
It,
way the
well,
next
one
time.
of the two things will happen. It's like, if I don't get it, that this person who wants to always to be right and controlling, and I think they're causing my upset because they're wanting to be right and controlling. What's really happening, they are triggering my already present guilt, which is a call for pain and punishment, because I fear in some way that I'm the controlling person. In other
Interesting.
words, so that if I don't get the message from them that they're helping me see what I am blaming myself for, and if I'm just going to keep blinders on my eyes and say, I'm perfect, you're the problem, and you get rid of them, in comes person number two, three, four, or five,
Yeah, yeah.
and they will be just fine. They'll be just the same way because I'm selectively putting together in my own mind what the words and the deeds are of somebody out here. Nothing's ever objective about the way we see ourselves or another person or the world. So the only answer to anything is I need to let go of my sense that I need to be punished, or that because punishment and guilt are a package deal. If
Hmm.
I feel guilty, that's as if I'm down on my knees praying to be punished, and the world will answer my prayer,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So the way I handle any relationship is to realize my experience of it starts in my mind.
Hmm.
And you go, that just seems impossible. No, it isn't, because all you have to do is to sort of have an experiment with this is ask five different people to describe person X. And you're likely to get five. I've done this in classes before, and you'll get five different answers. It's like, what? And they can range from this person is really awful and they're a liar to that is the sweetest, kindest person I've ever met in my life. And people could like, this party's going to think the other one's nuts. It's like, no, nobody's nuts. Everybody's seeing and experiencing what we're putting there to see and experience. So we don't have any actual victims. And you might say, oh, yeah, there are all kinds of victims. There are all kinds of terrible things that are happening to people. Is like, yes, we're not pretending like terrible things aren't happening. Of course, wonderful things are happening as well. But I'm saying that the terrible things are always at the metaphysical level, self-induced. And you see, if I really were at the mercy of all sorts of forces outside myself, I might as well go just jump off a cliff. What am I going to do? How am I going to control all the forces that are ever going to be in my life if they really were, if I really were being controlled by the outside forces? But if they are a mirror rather than a cause, then this is an entirely different ballgame. And
Okay.
I've watched this both with myself and other people for ages, and it works like a charm.
Really? Okay. So I'm just trying to not compartmentalize this. I'm trying to understand it.
Okay.
That if I get it, that if I'm with somebody and I'm seeing a certain behavior, this is a mirror to me.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what if the person that is with the mirror was sweet talked into the relationship, and they were totally different in the beginning of the relationship. Now they find themselves in a serious relationship, and the problem is that now you realize, okay, maybe I fear or feel that I'm controlling. I have guilt about being controlled and I need to step away from this person that has mirrored me or that is my mirror. Most people can't get to that place where they see the person that is the gaslighter or the person that is trying to force your changing your mind about something most people don't see it as, oh, I can see myself in them, but I can see what you're saying. And the other hand, which is, what lessons am I learning from this person? And being able to forgive myself for the times that I was controlling, the times that I wanted to manipulate, the times that I wanted to kind of defend myself and pretend like I was right and they were wrong. I can see that in that angle. But if it gets to that point where I realize, okay, I've gotten over the fear, I've gotten over the shame or whatever, I am going to walk away from this person because I need to be myself. I need to be able to see the world the way as it is, as opposed to how I'm fixing
Absolutely,
it.
because if you really change your mind and own what you need to own and begin to
Hmm.
release what you begin to release, you're no longer on, let's call it the same wavelength. And when you're no longer on the same wavelength, this is not good or bad. It means it's time not to be together anymore.
Hmm.
In other words, it's like it's time for a change. It's time, and it will. And if we don't do it willingly, I find that life has a way of taking care of it for us, one way or the other. In other words, it's time for you. It's like you've learned what you need to learn. Now is the time to move on because everybody, both parties, if we're talking about a couple, have got their next level of learning that they need to do.
Hmm.
And they obviously have learned all they can learn together. It's now time to move on.
Hmm.
And there's nothing wrong about any of that. Now, we know that we've often been taught, oh, if you marry somebody, you have to stay with them forever. Those are worldly rules. Those are not cosmic rules.
Hmm.
If you want to live by a worldly world instead a rule instead of a cosmic or loving one, that's your choice, but you really won't like the results. It's like learning to live the way life actually operates is a smarter thing to do. And
Interesting. Yeah.
and we're always being, it's like we can ask for, I'll tell you what, I ask for help all through the day. And it's like, I don't have any problems in my life. It's like, if I had problems in my life, then you should not pay any attention to anything I say. But I do not have any relationship, financial, or health problems. Those are the big three. If I had any of those, then you should say, well, go jump off the cliff or something like that. But it's like my life works like a Swiss watch. And the key to that, as far as I'm concerned, is two things. The goal of life is I want to be truly helpful. That's not I want to fix somebody. That means
I
I
like
want
that.
my life to be truly helpful. Plus, added to that, I'm going to follow my intuition only about what helpful looks like in any given situation. Because in some cases, it could be something very different for one person than it would be for another situation in another person. But the that desire to like, I want you, whoever the you is in front of you, I want you, and I'm talking to you, whoever is listening right now, I want you to have a better life than you have now. You might say, I have a great life. Great. Well, I want it to be even better. So it's like,
Isn't that
so that,
funny? People don't know that things could get better. I mean, that was the thing and how what got me into health. And, somebody challenged me to go raw vegan for like 1 month, and I after 4 days, I just felt really good. I just didn't know I could feel better. And I thought, if food can make me feel this good, what else have I been lied about? It's that realization that we've been taught certain things, and it's especially, and I can only talk about my family, and I love my family, and my family, we all have done the best we could with what we had. But I remember whoever was the rightest was the one that was the loudest. And your opinion didn't matter because their opinion was more important. So, that's my perspective. I'm sure that my siblings or those that witnessed it might have a difference of opinion, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is that everybody has a different perception of what reality is. And like you
yes.
said, you ask the same question, what do you like about this person? That's a terrible person to you, but it might be the sweetest angel to somebody else.
Absolutely. I've seen that over and over and over again, working with people. And it's like, clearly, selective perception is at work by my man. But see, this is a guaranteed situation that it's like, if you want to be helpful, you
I love
could.
that.
If you decide, I want to hurt you because I think you've been a problem to me, it's like, well, then there's no place you can hide
No.
where you will escape experiencing the distress that you wish for somebody else. Because remember, if the thought's in your mind, it doesn't matter if you think it's for someone else, it's going to happen to you.
Hmm.
So it's like once you begin to appreciate the power of where you place your attention, things can be very different. You'll be much more careful about that. But I also find that in addition to, okay, I'm going to, follow intuition about being helpful, I find myself constantly, and I don't even do this on purpose any more than you don't say,
Breathe.
listen, I'm breathing on purpose. It's like breathing is just what you do. It's
Yeah.
like I find myself saying, thank you, God, all the time throughout the day. I'll find something. I'll be reminded of something. I'll get a good idea about something. So I feel like uh, life has sort of evolved to the place of, you might say, staying in a place of constant gratitude. And the
Mm.
more I stay in it, the better things get. And the more grateful I am, and the more I listen, and the better and better and better and better things get. So this this is not something that randomly happens just by luck to somebody else. You must appreciate the immense power of your own thought. And that immense power, when funneled through a belief or a notion or a whatever, makes all the difference in the world in creating your life. So, see, here's the great thing. You don't have
Mhm.
to undo. You go, oh my gosh, I've been so confused and I've been this and that and the other. What am I going to do about that? Nothing,
Mhm.
because it's gone. You don't have to do anything about cleaning it up. You do have to decide, I want an entirely different platform, if you will, out of which I'm going to live my life. And if I decide, why would I not want to be helpful? Why would I actually see? We think, well, I want to hate this person and be mean to them because they've been mean to me and so on and so forth. Well, stand back and take a look and notice that doesn't work well.
Mhm. It doesn't.
That's not an effective way to have a happy life.
Mhm. And
So it's like
so many people choose that path too.
it's like drinking poison and then going, oh, I thought I was drinking this poison for you, but somehow it's ruining my body instead. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it works.
drinking poison and expecting the other person to die doesn't work very
Exactly. It
well.
is absolutely that insane to think that I can think hateful thoughts or judgmental thoughts or I wish you ill thoughts, and that I'm going to just be riding along on clouds of happiness is nuts, impossible.
Yeah. It wasn't until I learned win-win because the world says you must lose in order for me to win. I lived in that world. I understood that world. But once you learn about win-win and you figure out, okay, let's make a deal here. Let's work together here. What works for you? Okay. What works for me? Okay. Let's win. Let's all win. Let's all create win-win. And life
Absolutely.
is so different like that. It really is.
You end up with exactly no big problems to solve. As I say, we know what the three big ones are, and it's like, well, when you don't have a bunch of problems to solve, this allows you to focus more and more and more on the I want to be truly helpful.
Hmm.
It's like uh, talking to strangers and telling them how beautiful they are. I mean, I'm likely to say anything to anybody. It doesn't matter whether I know them or not.
Yeah.
And like, it's lovely to do that. It's lovely to go, I like looking for what's right about everything.
it is a new way of living for some people, foreign for others.
Yes.
And like for you and I work I intentionally do that because I believe it's not human nature because we've been taught, we've been indoctrinated to fear, to look at what our differences are, to to be afraid because they're not like you, or not include them because you think that they might be a different way. And that's what we've learned. And so we need to rewrite that story. We get to relearn some of these truths that I've learned along the way, and I know that you have taught, and others have learned as well, that a world where you lose so that I can win is not a good world to live in.
Absolutely. Under no circumstances will that ever have the outcome that will be helpful to us.
Yeah,
And and just automatically thinking, it's like, since I have no qualms about this, I'm likely to talk to strangers or
yeah,
compliment them or do something else. I was in a store. I don't know if I told you this before. Shortly after I moved here, I was doing some shopping, and it was one of those checkout things where there are, several booths to check you out. So the lady's taking my credit card, and the checkout girl next to her was the blackest, it was as black as this, the blackest skinned woman I have ever seen in my life, and possibly the most beautiful. I have never seen a more gorgeous, beautiful, um, very sort of classic face. It's like you wanted to stare at this woman.
mhm.
Very young. She was about 25 years old. And I said, I have to tell you that I think that you are the most exquisitely gorgeous woman I've ever laid eyes on. And of course, she lights up like a Christmas tree. And the lady who's waiting on me said, "Yes, isn't she gorgeous?" And it's like, "Yes." And it's like, you know, so much fun to do. In other words, it's not, I'm sure she probably enjoyed being told she was the most gorgeous person I'd ever seen, but
Sure.
I enjoyed telling her that she was the most gorgeous person I'd ever seen. In other
But
words, it's not like she wins and I get nothing out of this.
yeah.
We want to love people, we want to do things for them. So it's like we both win. She gets to be told she's gorgeous, and I get to do what I love to do, which is to, it's better. So,
Well, that's interesting. It's interesting that, it's so contagious. That energy that you created by complimenting that person rose the frequency around you, and it touches you. It hits the other person. What's the word that I was going to say? It's contagious, maybe.
yes,
But
yes,
because you see that with a random act of kindness. You
mhm,
see the person doing something kind and the receiver maybe crying and
yes,
everybody who's witnessing that is doing the same thing. They're feeling that same frequency of love and
yes.
support. And I love how you say, I want to be known in my life instead of fixing somebody is to be helpful. And I do believe that that is, such a beautiful way. I don't need to fix you because, you're really not broken.
Not
Uh,
broken at all, at all. You just believe some false things about yourself. Well, that's not a crime. They get wired in infancy before the right brain is developed, where we have a chance to be thoughtful about these things. And so we grow up simply having been wired that way and presume it must be true because this is the way it's been as far
yeah,
back as I
yeah,
remember. Only it's not. That was the misinterpretation of a 2-year-old brain that
yeah,
doesn't have a functioning left brain yet to be able to sort things out and what's true and what isn't true.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
operating. very, very fundamental level. So, see, so much of what we believe about ourselves did get wired in before we were old enough to know that any wiring was happening in the first place.
Hmm.
And so we grow up and we, adopt this notion that we're unworthy or that we're ugly or that we're whatever,
Hmm.
in the negative pile. It never occurs to us that that's 100% false. How's that going to happen? Like, where is the information going to come from? And so it's the mission of a lot of us to bring that information to the world. Is like, what you believe about yourself is way too small. You see, when we feel big and we feel supported and we feel taken care of, we don't have the slightest inclination to be mean to somebody or to withhold something for them or to hurt them or insult them. It was like it never would come up. It's not like, oh, I really want to hit you in the face, but I'm going to hold myself back. It's like you have no inclination to be hurtful and only to be helpful instead. I
Well,
don't see.
there are some people in this world that their intention is to hurt. I'm seeing it all around, but
Oh, it is.
I choose to find the people that are wanting to be helpful and loving. That's my choice to see the world and be grateful for them. Yeah.
No, there are people who want to be hurtful because they do feel that they are the victims of someone else's hurting them. And so now I've got to get even and I've got to fight back and so on because they don't understand the primary principle is that however they were hurt in the first place, for which they now want revenge, they didn't understand that they, with their own thought processes, call that down upon themselves. See, all that they tune in at the I'm being mistreated by this person level. They haven't understood that in a way that they don't even know how they did it. It was uh, this is a mirroring of what they're doing to themselves. And I realize that's a stretch for people who go, no, those people are really awful. Well, whoever those people are, their behavior may be awful. And so we're not pretending like everybody's walking around behaving like angels. We're saying we begin to understand why they're behaving in whatever way they're behaving. And rather than hating somebody for it, then you have an understanding of it. With an understanding of it, you find that you will somehow no longer be in the company of hateful people or difficult people. In other words, it's a frequency thing.
I
When
get
we're
it.
not on the same wavelength, we find ourselves not together anymore.
I get it. So the moment you become aware that this is a lesson that you need to learn, you will change your frequency, you will change your perspective, and you will seek others that are in more alignment with you. And that's when you
Yeah,
can leave someone who is a gaslighter. And that's when you can leave somebody that is a indoctrination expert, or like you were seeing colleges right now that are being indoctrinated and their students, and there's so much hate in the world and arguing and fighting. The moment that we realize that this is a lesson for us, it's not going to make us happy, that we need to find our own happiness. And once we realize that this was a mirror to us, a lesson for us, we will start seeking people in more alignment.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's like, see, it would be completely out of line with the universe to say some people are going to be handed this great life, and some people are going to be handed a terrible life, as if the handing down is happening from something outside ourselves. But when we realize I'm the one who formulates the quality of my life, and I have to realize that I've carried self-hatred or self-doubt or self-attack, and then
Bring
it
that person into my life and
bring
then
I bring
bring that person.
in my life then to play that out. But it's I have to recognize I'm the one writing the script. And I'm the one, calling in the actors to be part of my drama.
You
That
know,
this does
it's so
not mean
different.
we're
Yeah.
stupid. It means we have not ever been properly taught about the immense power of our focused attention,
Wow.
even the power of our random attention, but much
Yeah.
less our focused attention. So it doesn't matter how ghastly something might be right now, you can always change it. You are not stuck. You are not destined to be at whatever level. I'm not sure I like that word, but I don't know what else to use. At
Mm.
whatever place or level, it's different. It can be different, and it rests entirely solely in your own hands where you
Wow.
go, I want to do something about this. I want to see this differently. That's the key. I want to interpret someone else's bad behavior. And this is, it takes practice and can be a stretch in the
I
beginning.
would
I
say.
want to see their bad behavior as a call for help
Mhm.
and respond in that way.
Mm.
And when we decide to do that, everybody wins and nobody loses,
I
which
like
is
it.
a wonderful way to live where everybody wins and nobody loses. And it doesn't
Well,
cost anything.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? We only have like 5 minutes left in the classroom, so I
Oh,
just want to, because I could just sit at Carol Howe's feet and just listen to all her teachings. And I know you can find these teachings at carolhowe.com, but today I want to encourage you to sit with the people that are poking you in the eye and not in a good way, in a way that is making you feel small, but to realize that perhaps we're creating it. Perhaps they're there to mirror what we really think about who we are. Love that. Just mind blowing. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com. When you go there, please subscribe to the website. Check out my new website and the facelift that I underwent for my for my website. And so I just want to encourage you to, while you're there, please check it out. Subscribe, like, and follow me on all social media. Make sure you share this video with everybody that you know so that you can help with the algorithms. Support our sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. And check out my Shop Now bag. You can find it. It's in a new little special with little bags on it. Just click on it and look at how you can become healthy from head to toe. These are all Lilly approved products, and I encourage you to go check them out. And then last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation, anything that you can do, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, is so much appreciated. And so I just wanted to share with you, there's the November 1st, we are going to have the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit for cancer and autoimmune dis-ease so that we can start taking our health back as well. Not just, I notice that people don't like to prevent. They like to react to whatever is going on. So I know this is going to be an incredible summit that we're going to all come together like-minded and start to see the good in whatever is going on in our life, rewrite the story so that we can start healing our body from the inside out. I love what you have to say. And for those of you who are just meeting Carol for the first time, just know you can go to carolhowe.com. If you are a subscriber, you can just click on her name and it'll take you to her website. She has so many teachings, so much wisdom that you will enjoy all these different pearls. And she wears her pearls so beautifully, but she also dishes them out if you are ready. So I'm so grateful to you, Carol, because of everything that you do. And we're down to about 2 minutes in the classroom here. So if I were to say to you that, people feel victimized, and I get it, by the person who's belittling them in public, by the person who's belittling them in private, maybe even being forceful in ways even when the other person doesn't want. What is your advice for them as far as getting out of that relationship for their own sake?
Well, they must. In other words, if there's and you might say, in some cases, you get out of it by physically leaving. In
Mhm.
other cases, you transform the relationship by changing your mind about yourself, your value, your worth, your desire to be helpful to other people, and so on. So, getting out of the relationship can be staying in the relationship, but a transformed relationship. In other words, that's always possible as well, not just leaving, because if you leave without doing your own healing, you will jump out of the frying pan into the fire and
Totally
out of the
agree. Yes.
over a, and so on. So we've got to recognize the world is showing us what we need to change our minds about to fully heal and live the life that we were created to live, which is very wonderful.
Oh, I'll let that be the last word. Carol, you are such a special person, and I'm so grateful that you're in my life and that we get to spend time together before we even start recording and sharing wonderful stories that just make my soul feel like singing. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing, not just for the classroom, but for everyone. You're still coaching, you're still doing all these wonderful things, and I've been a benefactor of what you've done. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, and thank you for all your work. After all, you're devoting yourself to making the place a better world as well, and I'm sure your life reflects that.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, keep growing with us because staying in the same spot will make you choose the same things over and over again. It's time for a change, it's time for a reflection, and it's time for seeing yourself in others too. We're not a island and that we're untouchable. There's so much out there that affects us, and we just need to realize how and how we can change our mindset to live the life that we want. So please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Carol Howe wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
And
Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.